time is 7 o'clock p.m. and we are convened as the Provo City School Board of Education. We're meeting at 280 West, 940 North in Provo, Utah, and we're going to begin with a roll call. And Devin, let's start with you.
Devin Daly, Business Administrator.
Lisa Boyce, Board Member.
Terry McCabe, Board Member.
Gina Hales, Board Vice President.
Jennifer Partridge, Board President.
Wendy Dow, Superintendent.
Meg Van Wagenen, Board Member.
Emily Harrison, Board Member.
Bailey Lindstrom, Student Board Member. Rachel Ruth, Student Board Member.
Okay, thank you. And I will entertain a motion to convene our business meeting.
I move we convene our business meeting.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Van Wagenen. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Hales. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now in our business meeting, and we are going to turn it over to Board Member Meg Van Wagenen for our opening remarks.
Great. Welcome, everyone. It's so nice to see a crowd here today. When I was thinking about my opening remarks, I was just reflecting over the past couple weeks and like, what could I even share that's useful? And I'm sure, like many of us in this room, enjoyed watching the I'm going to say it wrong, Artemis 2 mission, and how inspiring I felt watching these 4 astronauts, not only like the scientific and the endeavor it was, but also the humanness I think they brought to this mission. And one thing that I saw that I loved seeing was that all of these astronauts were all educated in public schools. I thought that was a fun reminder about why I'm here and why I want to be on the school board. And also, I'm just going to quickly share, I know as a board we have we shared about this, what I'm going to share. But after the mission, one of the astronauts, Christina Cook, she was sharing some post-mission remarks, and she was kind of talking about what makes a crew, maybe why a crew is different than a team. She said that, you know, a crew is they're in it all the time together. They give grace, they hold each other accountable, they have similar care and needs, especially when they're up there in space. And she also said this, that a crew is inescapably, beautifully, dutifully linked. And then she went on to share the experience of once they were up there and they looked back and saw Earth, she said she was taken back by just seeing Earth surrounded by all of this darkness, and it almost was just hanging there like a lifeboat. And then she said, to all those listening, that planet Earth, you are a crew. And I love that, and I love thinking about that in the work we do as a school board, as a work we do with these district leaders who work so hard for our students and our teachers and for all of you in the community, and that especially as we navigate hard discussions and topics moving forward, that we are a crew. And I think thinking about all of the emails and the feedback we've received since January on various things, I really value that it is an indicator of how much all of you care about our students, about our schools, and I'm really grateful for that. And I just love the reminder that planet Earth is a crew. So,
thank you, Meg. Appreciate that. All right. Next, we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Athena Shannon, who is a Wasatch 6th grade student in Mr. Scribner's class. So we'll have Athena come up, and we'll all join her in the pledge.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Athena. We appreciate you being here tonight. And later we are going to hear from Wasatch principal about all the things happening at your school. So thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to our community connections. And before we get to our Provo Way Awards, we have an extra award tonight. And Bonnie, we would like to call Bonnie Takis to come up here. Bonnie is our administrative assistant And tomorrow is Administrative Professionals Day, and so we want to recognize Bonnie for all the hard work that she does. Bonnie supports the board and the superintendent and the business administrator and the communications department, and keeps us organized and on task and well fed and all of the things. And so we just want to let you know how grateful we are for you. And the public gets to see all of us and don't get to see how many people there are behind us supporting the things that we do. So we're glad to give you a little bit of recognition, even if you're not so glad that we did. But we appreciate you, Bonnie. Thank you. Okay, next we'll call Jason Cox up. He is our Deputy Superintendent, and he's going to present the Provo Way Awards.
Good evening, school board. Thank you for this opportunity. We have some amazing people we're going to be recognizing tonight. So when I read your name, please stand. We have from Timpview High School, the assistant custodial team, Isaac Clark. We can give him a round of applause. From Prevost Elementary, we have Veronica Phillips. From Shoreline Middle School, we have Waisea Lasuma. From Sunset View Elementary, we have Jill Hostetter. From Spring Creek Elementary, we have Marin Clayton. And our student of the month this month is from Franklin Elementary, and it's Juliana Canales Mora. We have a video showing our different winners tonight, but after the video, we'd love to give them a chance to come up and allow you as a board to thank them personally for the things that they've done for our school district. So we'll go ahead and watch the video and go to that point.
In a short time, Isaac has streamlined our nightly operations while building a positive, team-focused work environment where people genuinely enjoy coming to work. He leads a crew responsible for over 112 classrooms and 49 offices in a building that runs up to 18 hours a day, all while supporting numerous nightly events. Despite the heavy workload, including removing up to 2 tons of trash each day, Isaac keeps things running smoothly and efficiently.
Veronica is an amazing educator and wonderful coworker. She greets everyone with a smile and brings light and sunshine to our school. She plans efficiently, uses data effectively, and is very tech savvy. On more occasions than I can count, she has helped assist students and faculty alike in many different ways, whether accessing a new data platform, a curriculum feature, or navigating technological tools to help our students. She is so dependable and so kind and eager to assist everyone.
He should be recognized because he is the best math teacher. Every Friday he would give us donuts and other treats. When I was selling cookies, he offered to buy some. He's a very kind teacher.
I love how he teaches and how he gives us rewards for the things we do. Well, he's very funny and nice.
I visit a lot of classrooms, but it's rare that I get to visit an adult ed ELA classroom. Inside I found parents of Provost students, people fresh off swing shifts, all of whom should be tired but were engaged and excited to practice their language skills and chat with their peers and teacher. Beyond her adult ELA classroom, I was able to visit her class to film her Teacher of the Year award, which she's also receiving. She managed her classroom with the precision of a Swiss watch, and the content the students were engaged with saw them working through a multitude of observational, writing, and speaking skills, leading to a more active learning style differentiated for all students. She's deserving of her Teacher of the Year status and deserving of this month's Provo Way Award.
Marin is an excellent teacher whose class runs like a well-oiled machine. Her students know what is expected of them, and they are a group of engaged learners. She does a great job getting students engaged in the work and has built great relationships with them. She is a great teammate and is always willing to help out where she can. She cares about her students and strives to meet each of their needs by seamlessly differentiating in her classroom. She is a vital part of Spring Creek Elementary.
We want to take a moment to celebrate Juliana's absolutely amazing reading growth this year. When she was working on 95 skill lessons, she didn't just accept where she was. She actually asked her teacher, how do I get out of skill groups and into book club? That question right there shows real initiative. So her teacher gave her a goal, a specific target for words correct per minute on her progress monitoring. And you know what Juliana did? She worked, she focused, she practiced, and she met that goal. And that's why she's here with us in book club now. She earned this spot. What really stands out about Juliana is not just her own growth, she's a helper in our classroom. She supports all of her classmates and she goes the extra mile to help our multilingual learners. She's patient, she's kind, and she makes everyone around her better. We are here to celebrate her growth in reading, but Juliana is also making growth in math. She actively asks her teacher for feedback on what she needs to do to master new skills. She never waits to be told what to do. She takes charge of her own learning. That's the kind of determination, courage, and character we should all admire.
We'd like to invite our winners up to start right over here and allow our school board members to go ahead and thank you personally for the work that you're doing and as both students and workers for us. And we have a little gift for you. So we'll have you come up and start right over here for those of you that were recognized tonight.
Don't be shy.
We're nice.
You can walk right down in front of me. You're amazing. Keep up the good work. You are so much for your life. I'm so inspired by you. Congratulations.
Oh my gosh, you're doing such a great job.
Awesome.
Congratulations. Awesome. Thank you. You did awesome. Perfect.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. So hard. We appreciate it. I'm happy to see you. You did a great job. Thank you.
You scored. You're the boss.
All right, let's give all of our Provo Way Award winners a always my favorite part of the meeting, so inspiring. So thank you for all that you guys do. Next is our school report, and tonight we're going to turn that over to Principal Des Olson to tell us more about Wasatch Elementary.
Good evening, school board. Good evening, superintendent, everybody else in attendance. I'm happy to be here, and as I've been reflecting on, we're coming up on the end of my first year as a principal, and so I want to start tonight by thanking the board for the opportunity that I've had to work at Wasatch this year with wonderful faculty and staff, students, and families, and for the invitation to come tonight and share some great things about our school community. So you can see the first slide here is a picture of our beautiful new school, which we're very thankful for and is one of our points of pride. I did my thank you. I'll start out by sharing some information about our teachers. Here are some pictures of them. There's on the playground our awesome staff with their ranger hats on because we're the Wasatch Rangers, and some of our paraprofessionals up there in the top corner, and then that bottom picture is of our BLT team when we went to our Solution Tree conference this fall. So you can see that we have majority of our teachers have 7+ years of experience at the moment, and then with a little bit sprinkled in of 0 to 3 and 4 to 6, it makes for a good mix. And then you can see there on the bottom our current stats for teacher retention and such. And then here's a little bit more detailed outline of our staff at our school. So in most grade levels, we have 3 classes. So we have 3 kindergarten full day, and then in grades 1 through 4 and 6, we have a Chinese DLI teacher, an English DLI teacher, and a STEAM teacher. Our 5th grade cohort is giant, so we have 4 teachers in that one, 2 STEAM and 2 DLI. And then we have 1.5 special ed, a music, social worker, coach. We have a behavior specialist, and then you can see at the bottom, we have quite a good amount of aides and paraprofessionals helping us out with our interventions and everything else that we need. Okay, here are some student demographics, our latest enrollment demographics. You can see there that and I put over on the right, we all know that enrollment trends are going down across the state, so I just wanted to share what's happening at Wasatch with that. So you can see over the past 4 years what that looks like. So we're currently, as of today, at 509 students. Let's share some assessment data. So this is a little snapshot of our students meeting Acadient's reading benchmark from 2021 until this year. We don't have end of year data yet, but you can see the trend across that we've been each year we are increasing, and that we tend to stay in this 80% range, within the 80%. And then here's what it looks like by grade level. So you can break it down and see what it looks like in each of our grade. Our kindergarten definitely shines when it comes to Acadients in both reading and math, in their proficiency and their growth. I didn't put growth scores in tonight, but we definitely always look at those too. Here's our Acadients math proficiency over time as well. You can see where we're sitting this year, where we were sitting at middle of year. And then when we look at our RISE data, here's just the snapshot of how our school performed compared to district and state last year. You can see that we're performing above the district and state average in all areas. And here's our RISE ELA trend. We're going down just a little bit and hoping to change that when we take the test this year. Here's our math trend going up a little bit, and our science trend. And here's just a look at how our economically disadvantaged students scored this past year in ELA, math, and science. I put this in here because this is a focus that we want to have at Wasatch, to make sure that our students in these areas are also making progress. Our school improvement plan this year, our first goal is to increase overall ELA proficiency on the RISE by 1%. This was a goal made by our school due to seeing the trends either stay kind of stagnant or go down, and they wanted to make sure that we consistently put things in place to start getting that upward trend before they up the percentage more. This coming year, we're upping that percentage goal. We're going to be more ambitious and go for 3%. Our second goal is similar. We'll increase overall math proficiency on the RISE math assessments by 2% in each grade level. You can see where we were in the past 2 years and where we need to be this year to meet our goal. We've been watching our NWEA testing and using the predictor that the district gave. So according to that, with our NWEA scores, we are on track to meet our ELA goals, but we're not on track to meet our math goal. So in this last month or so, we've been working really hard to see what we can do with math to get ourselves ready to be more on track for that goal. The third goal in our SIP was to increase student knowledge and understanding of school-wide expectations and rules for BARC. from 0% to 80% by the end of our school year. BARC is the acronym we use for our PBIS. And at the SET survey they just gave in the spring, we had 100% of our students able to state the BARC expectations. We're very proud of that. The way we did this, a few ways we did this were weekly video announcements going over the expectations, starting BARC recognition assemblies, getting posters. This is the first year we've had posters, lesson plans for classes for teachers to teach, and then honestly, the best thing we have ever done is the BARC rap. All of our students and teachers can recite that and love to recite it. So, let's see. Some challenges and opportunities, or challenges that equal opportunities for growth. At Wasatch are finding ways to unify and connect our Chinese DLI and STEAM classes. We kind of have two schools within a school and are trying to find the best ways for them to integrate and interact as much as possible. Another challenge is that we have one traditional class per grade level, and that makes it hard sometimes when we have students that may need some different environments to be in, with interacting with different students. They just have one choice of where they're going to go if they're in the STEAM class. Being creative with our budgets, providing meaningful extension opportunities for our students, because we have a lot of students that need those extensions that come in ready for them. And then at the same time, meeting the needs of all of our students, including our ML, our lowest 25%. And then it's a challenge sometimes to show growth along with high achievement. That's something we're always working on. Another challenge at Wasatch has been frequent change in leadership. And I'm really happy to stick around and give them some consistency, and that's my goal. Okay, some Wasatch points of pride. U.S. News and World Report, we're number 3 in Provo School District in our rankings and number 70 in Utah for last year. Our kindergarten, we had 100% of students making typical or above growth in Acadience math from the beginning of year to middle of year for this year. Another point of pride, of course, our dual immersion Chinese program, our STEAM, along with our STEAM program, our strong professional learning communities and collaboration, our Wasatch Rangers, which is our Hope Squad, our social workers doing an amazing job with that. We have a lot of plans in place to increase their leadership opportunities next year. Our award-winning parent organization as well, they won an award this past year for building a resilient and connected community. And then our beautiful building, our traditions, of course, both new and long-standing. And we're working hard to make sure those are focused on student learning, belonging, and growth. We could also say welcoming, educating, inspiring. And then Wasatch is just, if I were going to just use a word to describe the community and the staff and the students there, it's resilient. And so that's a huge point of pride that we have in our community, is our resilience and the community we've built by being stronger, by coming together. So there's a few pictures of our points of pride. Some of our traditions, our STEAM class, the bubble represents our STEAM class. The dragon represents our Chinese. There's our choir in the red shirts. We have a really big choir. Our medieval feast and our red carpet. Here's our BARC expectations that we're proud that we've really worked hard to grow this in our community. It feels like it's kind of become an identity for our community this year. And so I wanted to just highlight that. And there's our parent organization, picture of them. Then I just put a few things that we have been focusing on in place this year to make Wasatch the best school in the land, because that's what we say, we're the best school in the land. I think that's been around for like 75 years. So to keep us the best school in the land as well. So it's strong and consistent professional learning communities, our Chinese and STEAM programs, our PBIS system, Our student success team, doing data dives with grade level teams 3 times a year has been a huge thing that staff has loved and has been really beneficial. Focusing on building strong Tier 1 instruction and consistent and collaborative Tier 2. Our strong parent involvement and support, and focusing on continuing to build the capacity of our BLT. Thank you for listening. Do you have any questions?
All right, what questions or comments do the board members have?
Well, I just want to give you a huge compliment. I love just how you've jumped in with this community and really tried to find ways to elevate and respect the system you're working in, and also encourage growth for your students and for everyone there. I really appreciate it. And I think you have an amazing community of parents and students and learners, and your teachers are just amazing.
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. First, thank you, Des, and it's been so great to, Wasatch is in my district, so we've have had the opportunity to have some conversations, which I've been really grateful for. With your BARC and seeing that huge jump in everyone understanding expectations, do you feel like you've seen an impact on behaviors in the school or anything like that? Or is it hard to say? I mean, I know it's just
So yes, I do feel like we've seen an impact on behavior in that we have a common language to address it with, and we have everybody's doing the same thing, same expectations throughout the school with that common language. I definitely also see that we have a lot of next steps to do next year. I'm excited to keep going with that to help the students internalize what BARC means a little bit more.
I have a question. Oh, no, go ahead. I obviously am familiar with DLI, but I would love to hear what STEAM looks like at Wasatch.
Great question. So right now STEAM means that the teachers in the traditional track are going to find as many opportunities as they can to integrate more science and technology and engineering into their everyday regular teaching. It means on Fridays especially, they're going to take the time, and a lot of our DLI classes do this as well, to take the time to work on STEAM on Fridays specifically. It means they're going to, I've also seen we are working on them collaborating more as classes together. So these are the types of things it means right now. Where we're going with it is to increase what we do with that STEAM. And create more opportunities for these teachers and classes, and really deepen what that means as I go into my next year as the principalship.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Wendy.
I just wanted to say, I do think you've done a great job of integrating. Sometimes it does feel like you have a school within a school, but you're doing all of these things to help bring the students together, and it is noted. It takes time for that to happen, but it is really meaningful, and we do hear very positive things from the community as a result, so thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you so much for not only being here tonight, but for all the hard work that you put in every day to bless the lives of all the students at Wasatch. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And tell your teachers thank you for us as well.
I definitely will. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we've come to the time for public input. So if you're here to give public input, if you will just fill out a form and turn it in over to Bonnie over here. And I just want to start off by saying we have such an engaged, wonderful community. We not only get people who take the time out of their busy lives to show up at a board meeting and give comments, but also emails and input and people coming to our community meetings that we're doing. And we just appreciate the thoughtful way that our community engages with us in the things we're doing here in the district. Okay, so when I call you up, you will come and you'll state your name and what elementary school boundary you live in, and then you'll have 3 minutes to share your comments. And we will start with Cassidy Waddleworth.
Hello, thank you for having us. And I just want to say thank you to all of you. You do not get paid enough. And I am so excited to get more involved and be at more of these meetings. So thank you to you guys, first of all. I just wanted to give a little perspective as
Can you state what school boundary you live in?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
I'm not good at following directions. Canyon Crest.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, my timer's gone. Okay, I just want to give, I know your discussion in the study session was a lot around DLI, and I was able to sit in on that discussion, and so thank you for bringing up a lot of these issues that have been so heavy on my heart as a parent who has had 2 kids in the English only program. At Canyon Crest, I have a 4th grader and a 2nd grader and an incoming kindergartner. So thank you for bringing this to the attention that I do think it deserves to get a second look at. I am by no means against the DLI program, and I definitely want to state that. But for whatever reasons, my son, I didn't feel like he would do well in the DLI program, and I honestly didn't know much about it going in as he was my oldest, so we chose English. Little did I know, I probably should have asked more questions, and I probably should have just put him into DLI. Here's a few of my concerns, specifically at Canyon Crest, and it sounds like it's good to know and also disheartening to know that like other schools with Chinese are also having the same issues that we're having. But one thing that's hard for me is the English teacher turnover. It looks like your OG teachers, and I have to say I'm a Canyon Crest graduate myself, so a lot of those OG teachers I knew, but a lot of them became the English only teacher, right? So I have 2 kids, 4th and 2nd, 2 years apart. They've never once had the same teacher, and they won't until my 2nd grader hits 4th grade. So Miss Hellquist retired, Miss Hatch retired, Miss Stone retired, Miss Blenzinger is in 4th grade. Absolutely amazing. I hope she's watching. She's gift from heaven. She is staying, and that will probably be the first time that my 2 kids, only 2 years apart, will even have the same teacher in the English only program. I've been told that, so my 2nd grader is going to 3rd. The 3rd grade teacher this year is leaving. My 4th grader is going to 5th. The 5th grade teacher is also leaving. So I do feel like this position specifically, because the OG teachers were teaching it and now they're all setting to retire, it has become very unstable. So that's disheartening. In addition, I'm trying to wrap up what I want to say, but in addition to the other things that come along with being in an English only class, I appreciate that they've integrated the specialties, but that's 45 minutes of the day. If you go sit at lunch, they're still sitting in their classes between English and DLI. We are seen as lesser than, and it's sad because those kids aren't, but truthfully, you are going to get your behavior issues, and I didn't notice this with my 4th grader, but my 2nd grade class, and you can speak to those teachers who've probably quit after her class, but there are some hard kids in that class. And the problem with only having the 3, the 2, and the 1 is those hard kids who need the extra help are never going to do the DLI program. And maybe they are. Never's a big word, but anyway, I could talk forever on this, and I would like 2 more seconds. Is that okay? Okay, but yeah, the kids that need a little bit of extra help are never typically going to be in the DLI program, and I didn't notice that with my 4th grader until my 2nd grader came in, and she truthfully has about 5 kids who need a full-time aide, and that's fine, but they're not being dispersed evenly across the 3 classes, so therefore her classroom becomes very chaotic and very hard to manage without a full-time aide in there. Another quick point, and then I'll be done, is what worries me with like the new developments being built around Canyon Crest, and I know that enrollment is a huge topic of discussion and building up those enrollment numbers, but I pulled 12 families who live within our boundaries who do not choose Canyon Crest. 9 of the 12 say they are not choosing it because of DLI, because of not wanting to do it, because they moved in too late and their 4th grader would have had to go to the English, and they hear the horror stories of English program, which it's not all bad. Like, I'm in it, I have 2 kids in it, but what I worry about is all these new developments. If you look at the preserves just north of it, most of that neighborhood is going to Edgemont or Rock Canyon, and it's because Edgemont has 2 English options and they have the space for it. So my opinion is a DLI school should have the stability and the growth for 2 and 2. And Canyon Crest will never have enough classrooms for that, but I do think that Canyon Crest can be sustainable long term, and a lot of families would come back and the new growth would come in if it was a traditional school.
Thank you, Cassidy.
Thank you.
And if you have more you want to share, you can email us or talk to us after as well. Thank you. I know 3 minutes goes fast. All right. Next, we have Ashley Hoyland.
Hi, you guys. I know a lot of you personally, thank you, so I shouldn't be as nervous as I feel. So I guess what I would like to bring up, I'm from Canyon Crest, and I guess this is part question. I have so many thoughts about both school closure, DLI questions, so this is just one piece of the puzzle. But my understanding is that in the coming years, DLI options will be less centralized at the state level and will offer more flexibility for districts. I could be wrong on that, but the research I've done is saying something along those lines. So I'm wondering if this means that there is a possibility to reconsider how any of our programs are run, even at the individual school level. And we do have several parents who went to DLI programs as children in other countries or have professionally observed these schools. And they have talked about how they don't necessarily follow the immersion model, but rather offer different ways of doing it. So a more equitable way of looking at set times, looking at different subjects being taught in the language. And I should say, I have 2 kids who are in and going through the immersion program. And I love it. I am a fluent Spanish speaker. I value learning a language. But I guess what I will say, and what we've really, really strongly heard from our community, is that they would so much rather see a DLI program reconsidered or even taken out, because what they value even more, what they value is that they are a part of a community, that they feel safe and seen, and really known at our school. And so I know that that is a strong sentiment at our school. Like, please reconsider that before you consider breaking up a community and busing kids far away into communities they are not necessarily integrated into. And I think it does matter, like Cassidy said, it deals with a lot of the inequity issues that we've been thinking about and talking about, and I know you guys have been too. It would reduce funding costs for a lot of those programs. It would allow students to join the school at any time, whereas now it does cause a lot of problems. And there are a lot of students who would come back from alternative schools to join their local neighborhood schools. And we do have data on that and people that we have talked to, so that isn't just a hope. It is an actual set of things that people have said. So I guess we would really like to know in terms of like what those possibilities are and what we can do to present those, who we can get in front of you to say this is what we did and this is what worked well, and this is what we care about. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. All right, and last we have Ian Miller.
Hello. Thank you, Cassidy and Ashman. That was great. My name's Ian Miller. I'm from the Canyon Crest. I guess I don't need to touch the mic. Canyon Crest area. I have 3 kids. Well, 2 kids in Canyon Crest, 1 coming in kindergarten, and then 1 in Centennial. So we're all in on Provo School District. And I really appreciate you all coming to our school. I thought that was a really great night, and I really appreciated it as a parent and as a member of the school community council. So that's step 1, or first thing is just thank you. Second, I know that every school in the district has unique challenges, but I also know they have unique value. So I know that the district has challenges, each school has challenges, but every school has value. And I appreciated the opening remarks. Artemis 2, I was very inspired by that as well. I was also inspired by Project Hail Mary. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Highly recommend everybody to see it. I feel like it's a little dramatic. We might be in a little Project Hail Mary situation ourselves. So I'm working on a Project Hail Mary inside of the Project Hail Mary to work on a BYU partnership model. And I just wanted to update the board that I am working on it. I'm going to draft a proposal, and I'd love to share it with you as we progress. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is I do also want to formally offer any survey building experience if we want to run a conjoint analysis as you guys flesh out real options and real things that we can put on the table, because I know it's a process to get there, and there's frameworks that you guys are building, and I really appreciate all the transparency. As you get more to those harder and harder decisions to make, happy to offer that as well. And that's it. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else here tonight that wanted to give input? Good job. All right, then we will close that portion. I do want to thank everyone who came tonight and for your input. And honestly, I know the discussions we've been having can have high emotions, and I was ready tonight to come hear some people really upset. And I just appreciate that people came with, first of all, gratitude. I'm grateful for that. Thank you. And the willingness to work together and to help us solve our challenges, and we do appreciate that. So thank you so much. Okay, before we move on to our business items, which are formally next on the agenda, we did not have time in our study session to discuss the school fee schedule. So we are going to jump to that right now, because every year we do need to approve the school fees for the following school year, and we do have to have 2 readings of them. So tonight will be our first reading, and I'll turn it over to Devin.
So we're going to start this conversation with a caveat of just a reminder that the state has pulled back the school fee funding that they were supposed to provide us for the next 2 years. So that has added just an extra layer of challenges. I asked the secondary principals to review other districts' fees and to work with each other. One of the challenges is that not each program at the 2 high schools are the same. And not each of the programs at the middle schools are the same. So there are some discrepancies. Also, just a reminder that when you're looking at the fee sheet, there's the side on the left that's the required. That is what will be required for participation. On the right is what is like a worst case scenario. Now, there are a couple of things. I know Melanie asked a question about the cheerleading fee specific at Provo High. That is one I'm going to have to talk to them about. Yeah. Now, if the $5,050 is on the maximum, one of the issues is our district has a $5,000 per student maximum per year. So any other fee that student were to generate would not be collectible, because it would be up to $5,000.
I also wanted to add that I think we need some clarification from the principals on a couple of these, because that includes travel, and usually they're only taking a varsity team. So I know Melanie was concerned about, well, then that's like a $20,000 commitment, 9th through 12th. It really isn't, because they
Correct.
Probably are only traveling their 11th and 12th grade years. So we probably need to get some clarification on what levels are involved in travel.
And that is actually the next spot, next thing I was, I'm glad you did. We're a good team. Yeah. So here's one of the issues on the total required or the total maximum participation fee. If a program gets invited to something later in the year and they don't have a fee, they have to come back and ask for that. Requires 2 public meetings and before they can even start any fundraising or advertising for that. So sometimes that can be a little bit of a challenge. So a couple of years ago, we actually asked them to put the travel in there so that they didn't have to come back and ask for the fee. They still have to come back and ask for the permission to travel. And the principals have become a lot more mindful of how often the travel is happening and how many groups are traveling, because when you have students who qualify for a fee waiver, the school's budget is required to cover that. amount that's been waived. So when you're looking at these, the other clarification that I need, and I'm going to have the two high school principals work on this for the next meeting, is one of the pieces in legislation that changed last year was starting this next 26-27 school year, there has to be a fee-free path to graduation. So there has to, for every one of the requirements in high school to graduate, there has to be at least one offering in each of the requirements, or two. So if there's 2 credits required in something, there has to be 2 different classes that are fee-free. Say that fast 20 times, and I can guarantee you'll mess it up. So that's the other piece of clarification. So there needs to be some documentation of what is that fee-free path. Now, there is no fees. There are some classes that are non-fee courses. That's history, English, or social studies, English, math, science, and physical education. So those classes are non-fee courses, but there can still be some optional classes or optional fees that are associated with that. So when you look at it and you see a math or a science class and there's a possible fee, that's generally just a optional fee that they may be doing later, or it could be a shirt that they buy. It's not required for participation. Anyway, so we'll get further clarification on this. I did send you a new one for the district-wide fees, because I did get some late last night for some of the preschool, the Sunrise preschool that had been updated. And so the second email I sent to you is the current, and I'll get that updated on the agenda so that it's out there. Any questions specifically?
I do. I was looking at let me say this right. On board book, it says FY27, all schools proposed fee. Every single school has titled their class something slightly different than the next school. And so I'm looking at arts, and some of the performing arts. There's one, I can't find it right now. It's one line says school field trip, and then the line underneath says field trips.
Well, that's probably just a filtering issue, and I'll have Ricardo update that for the next one.
I noticed, under clubs, one says E-sports, and the next line it says esports, no dash. And those should actually be moved up into the sports category, because they're not clubs anymore.
Correct. So yes, some of those just clerical errors we'll fix for the final rendition.
Seriously, some of them are so silly.
No, you're not wrong. But when you're looking at it, the class has to match what the school's course catalog is in order to be in compliance with the school fee rules. So if there is an art, what is it, the 3D as opposed to ceramics, that has to match what the school's offering is.
Advanced art foundations, one is plain, one is ceramics, painting, 3D.
Correct, and they're just different foundations, art foundations classes. So I can't combine those. It was really put on there just so you could get an idea on the classes that were very similar, what the two schools were. That was not to, because this won't go out to each of the members of that school. They'll just get the one school.
At the very end, it says e-school credit recovery. Since we don't have e-school anymore.
Do through the summer. When does this go into effect?
It is still going through this summer. So there is some credit recovery.
It's not included in this school year?
So I think that was just left on probably an error, because that
Okay.
one is on the district-wide for the Utah Online fee.
Okay.
Obviously, my attempt to make things easier for you to look at failed miserably.
No, it's
So
great.
we will
It's great.
continue on with the one per school so that there isn't any confusion on the naming conventions of the classes.
I
but
liked it. It made things easier, but then,
it made you giggle. I get
field trips.
Okay.
Come on.
And we'll fix those small errors.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions.
All right. As we entertain other questions or thoughts about school fees, I do want to put out for student board members to be thinking, do you have any questions or insight as to school fees and your experience or student experience? So, but I'll give you a second. And are there board members who have other questions?
I do have one more thing to add. So when you're looking, so a lot of the feedback that we got from when we were doing our budget discussions revolved around making sure that we're charging the appropriate amount for some of the extracurricular, because the extracurricular classes or activities are significantly subsidized by the principals. And as you have a lower enrollment or tighter budgets, sometimes it requires a little bit more participation financially from those who are participating in the activities. So those are some of the things that we were thinking of as we did fees, and as I gave some information to the principals as they were planning it.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other input, questions?
I have a quick question. So this is like kind of a first pass, right? Like not every fee is in there. Because I noticed like I didn't see ballroom for Provo High, but I saw it for, wait, let's come down to ballroom.
It's there.
I only saw it for one school. Oh, sorry. But anyway, I just wondered. Okay, so this is everything for both.
So they should all be on there.
Okay.
There is always
That's fine.
a teacher that panics after the first reading that they didn't mean to leave their fee off. But for the most part, this should be everything.
So for clarification, there is a maximum, it's $5,000 per student
for the year.
Per year.
per year.
With all their combined activities.
Okay. All right. And so if a student were involved in enough activities that the participation fee exceeds that, do they need to choose not to, say, go on one of those trips? Or do you know what I'm saying? Like if we have a student who's doing FCCLA and going on an art tour and maybe playing a sport that has a travel plan, what do we
I can give
what
some
happens?
input on that one.
Okay.
So in our policy, we have a maximum of 2 trips in the maximum fee. So after 2 trips, they can still be they can go, but they would have to pay additional over the maximum allowed. So they allowed us in our policy to say this is what fits within the 5,000. So if 2 trips bring it over 5,000, they still have a maximum of 5,000. But if they choose to do a 3rd trip, then that trip does not get included in the 5,000. Added to this complexity is this year they added in legislation that there can be a maximum of trips that are waived. So a student who qualifies for fee waiver can only have 2 trips waived per year, and that is based on policy, which Wendy loves policy, so we're going to add another piece of this to policy.
Policy party.
Yeah, well, I'll probably write that one for her so she doesn't have to worry about it. But that one, that's an additional nuance as we're dealing with that. Now, in the legislation, it also talks about providing opportunities to the students to be able to earn money. The issue with that is once you start making them act as employees, we have risk issues for workers' comp, because you can't delineate between a real employee and a not real employee.
Okay. I'm just thinking of the burden also on families, right?
Yep.
Like when we lived in the Bay Area, our oldest child's choir tour was over $6,000 his freshman year. And I thought, you're the oldest of 6 children. And I'm sometimes going to have 3 of you in a high school. And so even if you each hit that maximum, that's an impossible lift. And so I'm just trying to balance understanding that they want to have these great opportunities, but just if you don't qualify for the fee waiver, but then you also don't have that money, how I guess they do always provide fundraising options for the students.
They should provide fundraising opportunities for students. Some of the trips that did not happen this year that had been brought forward, they decided not to do because they did not do fundraising or did not want to do fundraising. This is a real area where the board has some control when they bring forward trips. You can ask how many has this group gone on? Are they going every year? And it's also a principal decision. They can say no to certain groups and keep track of it on a school level.
Okay, thanks.
Student board members, do you guys have anything to add to our discussion about fees and costs?
I don't know if this is out of the blue, but I also heard about us cutting funding for high school sports. Is that still considered to be on the table? I just heard. Is that correct?
We had not put school sports on the cutting.
Okay. I heard some kids on sports teams just talking about that.
So what could be happening, Rachel, on that one is some of the principals have historically provided all of the transportation dollars to get students to their activities. That is part of some of these additional fees that are being charged this next year so that there's not so much of a burden on the principal. So maybe that there was a discussion of I can't pay for as many trips to places, and so that might have equated to some people as your program is being cut because we're not going to get to do so many things. That is not necessarily the case.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
I also think we did have a discussion in board meeting about, we had individuals asking us why athletics was not included in our proposed budget cuts, and we laid out because it is a pay to participate, like our students are paying for that, and the amount of money that is saved through those programs isn't significant enough to actually contribute large sums to that. Now, if we have a ton of students that are on fee waivers and our schools are not able to raise that money, that does cost a lot and can impact travel in particular.
But if a coach is providing like 10 uniforms for all the players, they can start charging that, right? Because who needs 10 uniforms?
It can be part of the fee.
And currently when you have something along the lines that of a player pack or something like that, a lot of times that is a uniform every couple of years. I haven't heard of anybody who provides 10 uniforms, but there are probably a few that have a few, maybe those who have 3 or 4 games a week.
More than away and home uniforms, yeah.
I just want to share my struggle with, I agree with Lisa, we've got to be very mindful of giving students opportunities, but also the burden it can be on the families, or even if they can fundraise. And it's hard for a teenager while going to school to fundraise $2,000 for a trip, right? So, and I get we need wiggle room in giving them some options and that they could then come before us for approving the trip, but also what message does it send when we set a maximum for a program to be at $5,000? Does that prevent some people from even entering? Are they going to see that maybe really it's only going to end up at 1,000 and they could do that, right? Like, I don't know if we need to do anything about that aspect of it, or if we just wait till trips come before us and we're a little more careful on what we approve. I'm happy to hear the principals are being a little more aware of that and having more conversations. I'm struggling with that, but it is hard to approve a fee schedule with some of these high amount maximums that could happen.
Well, and just keep in mind, especially on cheerleading, that that a lot of times that includes the national competitions. we can lower them, but if they do end up having a trip during the year, that will just be a return to the board to ask for those fees to be added. Those are all, we'll call it the worst possible scenario for a program, but it's a lot of money.
I'm wondering if the board would find it helpful, maybe it's only me, and if you think it would be appropriate, Devin, if on some of those, like the cheerleading with the high maxes, if we could get a picture of what their plan is for the year, like maybe the max is at 5, but they're only planning for 1,500. That's a lot different in my mind, right?
Yep.
So
I have that to a point. I don't know. I think this is what it could cost, and I don't know that they've planned for next school year already because they're still in the middle of this one. But we can see if we can get.
I don't want to ask that if no one else cares or finds that helpful, because I know that's extra work. So
does a parent, like, I mean, I'm just keep thinking of when I was new putting my first child into high school, and if I saw something like a fee schedule, I don't know if I would know that $5,000 is in case of the following conditions being met. I might think, well, gosh, if the cost of this activity can go up to $5,000, I might not step in to allow my child to. So I don't know how that gets communicated. Maybe parents do understand that. But I think that for me, more than breaking it out, would just be to make sure when we're communicating somehow to our families coming into these fees, like here's what this range means. Here's why there's a big range.
So I'll give you 2 points. One is going to sound very much like a biased opinion, but this is one of the challenges that we've argued for 4 years of why this is not creating a more transparent way of doing fees. In order to have the fee on the fee sheet, it has to be approved by the board after 2 meetings. So yes, I absolutely agree with you that it would be terrifying as a parent to see that as a possibility. One of the things that we requested during last year's fee meetings was that we wanted confirmation that every program had a parents meeting that had what the actual fee was going to be, and it was not going to be anything above what had been approved, because they cannot charge anything above what was approved. And I know that most of the programs did have a meeting before before tryouts or before any kind of activities started. This is what the fee is going to cover. This is what it's going to be this year. This is the opportunities that you can have for fundraising. So that is what we've asked them to have, just because this is such a heavy lift for parents. And I'm not at the school, so I can't say they are really trying hard to make sure that they've got the information for parents, and they really are mindful. I think the problem is you have 20 different activities of 20 different coaches who are all trying to be mindful of a parent, but not mindful of the fact that a kid may be participating in 4 or 5 different activities, and that then becomes a choice. So.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, we will see these again in May, where we will then vote on those. So, all right, let's move on to our business items section, and we are going to start. Item 1 is our courtesy and hazardous bus routes. And Wendy, should I have you give a summary?
I can do it.
Okay.
She's going to do policy, so we'll take turns.
Okay, go for it, Devin.
So this is just the annual review of all of the hazardous routes and courtesy routes. So the difference is that the courtesy routes are routes that are currently on a route, just they may ask for an additional route. We're allowed 1 per route that's funded. The rest of them are not. And then the other ones are just program routes or other routes that have been deemed hazardous because there are no sidewalks or they're crossing a busy road. And so we are required annually, and it's a really good idea because sometimes things can change in neighborhoods, but it is a requirement for us to review this every year and to approve them or to make adjustments to them.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve our courtesy and hazardous bus routes?
I move that we approve the courtesy and hazardous bus routes as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Van Wagenen. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Harrison. Any discussion on the motion?
I'm just going to say, I feel like over the years, I'll say it again, this is my third year on the board. Like, why did I say this twice tonight? But I really appreciate Troy, our department, you guys, I cannot talk, our transportation director, Jared Seitz, and the city really working on all of this, and even just working on a hazardous bus policy, a route policy. I feel like there's a lot of thought and breaking down these that has gone into understanding this. I am not articulating well. Thank you. That's all I'm trying to say.
Great. Any other discussion? Dina?
Mine's just more of a question. I think when Troy and Jared were talking to us, they said there were two that we might want to consider. Is that, I'm assuming that's for next year, and how do we consider those? One of the Franklin routes that is underused, and then maybe
It's more for future.
Jared, you want to speak to that? There's a mic right there.
Oh my gosh. I think what he's saying is the recommendation was for the future. Did I get that right? All right.
But would that go through the school community council or goes through our committee at the district?
It would begin at the school community council, then we would take it to the meeting with the city, the traffic safety committee, and then we'd bring it back to the board.
Okay. Okay. Did that answer?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? All right. All those in favor of approving the courtesy and hazardous bus routes for the next school year, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And now we will move on to policy, starting with policy 3200.
This is a new policy on student records. It outlines a lot about student records.
Hey, which we spent a lot of time talking about in our study session. So, do we have a motion to approve policy 3200?
I move that we approve policy 3200 student records as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Harrison. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Boyce. Any discussion? All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimously. Okay, next is 3210.
This is a policy that is updating FERPA, Family Education Rights and Privacy Compliance, and we did add a second procedure to that about some prohibited items that can't be requested from students.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move that we approve policy 3210, family education rights and privacy compliance policy, as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Boyce. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Hales. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And let's move on to 3116.
3116 is about married students, just making sure that they have the same rights as all other students do.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move that we approve policy 3116, married students, as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Vice President Hales. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Boyce. Any discussion? All those in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And next is 3117.
3117 is about pregnant students, and just for the record, I don't want people thinking that we're just sitting in policy committee making up policies for different groups of students. This is because of state code, and so then we have to create a policy to provide protections for students. So this is about pregnant students and their rights to be able to access and participate in activities and what the requirements are for that.
I think that was a helpful clarification.
Yes,
Thank you.
I thought people might think I'm just making stuff up.
Like, no wonder you're so busy.
Okay, do we have a motion on policy 3117?
I move that we approve policy 3117, pregnant students, as discussed in open meetings.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Harrison. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Board Member Van Wagenen. Do we have any discussion? All right, all those in favor, and I want to make sure I can hear all of you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, hey, good job. Model student. Okay. Any opposed?
All delirious.
Okay. Thank you. That passes unanimously. And next is 3328.
This is a pathway for students to, if they have a concern or a complaint, it just lays out the process by which they would have that addressed. Going through the school level, they also have a pathway to the superintendent. So it's resolution of student complaints. We have that for parents, but it was to lay that out specifically for students.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Oh, I move that we approve policy 3328, resolution of student complaints as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member McCabe. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Hales. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Good job. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Next is 5082.
This just establishes some limitations and some clarification on extra duty assignments, both for licensed professionals as well as our education support professionals, and what we can actually require them to do or ask them to do, or what they can do beyond the 40-hour work week.
All right, do we have a motion?
I move that we approve policy 5082, limitations on extra duty assignments as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Van Wagenen. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Boyce. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Okay, next is 5080, and I made a note that we will want to vote to hold this, if I have that correct. But Wendy, will you just describe what it is?
Yeah, it's just about employee contracts, and we wanted to add a definition of benefits and not list out specific, anyway, just some clarification on the definition of benefits.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion on this item?
I move that we table this item until a future board meeting.
Okay, motion made by Board Member McCabe. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Harrison. Any discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And next is 5026.
This policy is in regard to contract negotiations between the Board of Education, district leadership, and our employee associations, and what it looks like if we can't come to a contract agreement, and how that mediation takes place.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move that we approve policy 5026, mediation of contract negotiations, as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Boyce. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Hales. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And next is 5095.
This is a policy about reporting child sexual abuse and making sure that we're making it very clear how that gets reported, whether it's of a student, and then if it's also done by an employee, what levers are put into place there. And we did add some clarifying language into that, but it's already been added in as we discussed earlier.
Yeah, so this is the one where we did add something tonight, but
Yes.
if you say as discussed in open meetings tonight, that includes that change,
That would,
correct?
yep.
Unless someone's against that change, and then you can include that in your motion. So, all right, do we have a motion?
I move that we approve policy 5095, reporting child sexual abuse, as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Vice President Hales. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Harrison. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Next is 5096, which I also have as one we are going to table, but if you'll explain it for us.
Yeah, so this is about employees that need to report student misconduct, and we need to make it clear that it sounds like they're only reporting this misconduct during extracurricular activities or outside of the school days. So we just need to clean up that language so that we're making sure that we're reporting it no matter what, and that people know which policy to go to for which guidance.
Okay. So the
Bonnie has a,
yes.
Oh, just to make it easier, you can just replace the word approve with table if you want.
Thank you.
If you want.
Table. Yes. Okay. So, do we have a motion? Suggestion is to table it instead of approve. Okay.
I move that we table policy 5096, reporting student misconduct, as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay. Motion made by Board Member Harrison. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Van Wagenen. Any discussion? All those in favor of tabling this, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And next is 5125.
This is about personal protective equipment, just making sure that we are providing that protective equipment as assessed by risk management, and that it's also up to date and helpful.
Okay, do we have a motion on 5125?
I move that we approve policy 5125, personal protective equipment, as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Van Wagenen. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Hales. Any discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. And next is 5328.
This just provides protections for nursing mothers, places for them to nurse, and the things that the district needs to provide so that we can accommodate this for our moms.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move that we approve policy 5328, nursing mothers, as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Boyce. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Van Wagenen. Any discussion? I have a question. Can you just remind me, Wendy, is there anything that we need to do differently with this new policy or the changes in the policy, or we're just putting in policy our practices?
That is correct. Yeah. We already have it in practice, so this is just making sure it's in policy.
Okay. That's what I thought. Just want to make sure. Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving policy 5328, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And then I have the next three as ones that we were planning to table. Yep. So if you'll start with 3220.
So 3220 is about school uniforms, and we just need to add some clarifying language about how often, like how a uniform policy gets adopted, and then how often it can be changed.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move that we table policy 3220, school uniforms, as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Van Wagenen. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Hales. Any discussion? All those in favor of tabling 3220, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And next is 3006.
This is about informing parents about higher education savings options, and the law requires it to be done in kindergarten, but we want to take this back to policy committee to see if we need to maybe make this more available and more frequently, and what that might look like. So,
okay. Do we have a motion? The suggestion is to table this one.
I move that we table policy 3006, special programs, higher education savings options, as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Vice President Hales. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Harrison. Any discussion? All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. And next is 3510.
Student activities, we need to create some, it needs to go back to policy committee to make sure that it isn't just covering athletics, that the code of conduct is also including students that are involved in extracurriculars, and just provide some clarification there. So, yeah.
All right, do we have a motion?
I move that we table policy 3510, student activities, as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Harrison. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Boyce. Any discussion?
I don't know if this was discussed in study session, but can the principals have input on this?
They did.
Okay.
Yeah, they did. They scoured it with a whole bunch of comments on it, and they reworked the policy based on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of tabling policy 3510 student activities, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And that is the end of our policy section, and we have one more business item, and that is our high needs positions for the upcoming school year.
So we want to establish special education K-12 as one of those positions, science 7 through 12, and math 7 through 12.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve that?
I move that we approve the high needs designations of special education, secondary mathematics, and secondary science for annual SHINE funds as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Van Wagenen. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Harrison. Any discussion? All right. And just for the public, the SHINE funds are what we get from the state, right? That helps us to be able to attract some employees for a little bit of extra compensation for those high need positions, right? That's correct. Okay. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously, and now we are at our consent calendar. Let's go ahead and take a motion, and then we'll see if there's any discussion or questions. Do you have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Okay, motion made by Board Member or Vice President Hales. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Van Wagenen. Any discussion or questions?
I have one question. The Infinity Tours, there's two things on it. Is one like the cost for dance and the other in choir?
So one was payment 1 and one was payment 2. It was just a month apart, just like 4 weeks apart.
Okay. That's it. Any other discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor of approving the consent calendar, say aye. 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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And now we're to our reports section. So we will start with our business administrator report, and then when she's done, we'll have our student board members come up.
I think my brain might be fried. I will just share with you yesterday morning when I was standing freezing on the side of the road watching the runners pass me by at the Boston Marathon. I was struck by those pushing other people in their wheelchairs, along with the ones who pushed themselves, and just the level of physical exertion and real commitment that takes. And sometimes I'm just so grateful that I have people that are there pushing my wheelchair, because it feels like sometimes that's super necessary, and other times hopefully I can be the one pushing someone else's chair. So that's my minute.
That's very inspiring, Devin. Thank you. Okay, next we'll invite our student board members, Bailey and Rachel, to come up.
My name is Rachel Rue. I'm the student board member for Timpview High School.
I'm Bailey Lindstrom. I'm the board member for Provo High.
We had our final Student Advisory Council meeting on April 1st. That was held at Centennial Middle School. We were able to do a little Q&A with our middle schoolers, give them advice about going into high school, and then just overall upperclassmen advice.
During our meeting, we went over the Student Advisory Council webpage on the district website, which includes information about the student board member application and the student advisory calendar. And then there's a question box on there too, and then just a summary of our SAC meetings.
We already received some question submissions, one of them being about school start times that I was able to continue communicating with them. And I know that Terry also responded to them as well. Our student board member applications also opened, and then they just closed on April 17th. And Tim Few had the student board member promotional video on the homeroom thing, which was very cool. I get a shout out. Any questions for us?
Any comments or questions for our board members? Okay. Thank you. We appreciate all that you guys do. Okay. Now it's time for the board member roundtable. So this is the opportunity for the board members to share anything from the committees they've been working on. We also just got back from a national conference, so if they want to share anything tonight about that. We will turn it over to you, and is there anyone who would like to start?
I'll start. I am going to share my takeaways, which really are 3 quotes or questions that I'm still thinking about from our National School Boards Association conference. Other than the fact that we were able to present, as I think President Partridge mentioned earlier in our previous meeting, and I thought that was a great opportunity for us to showcase the things we're doing in this district, and I think we're doing some great things in this district, and I would encourage all of the board members to think about something that you would like to present at a national conference, and then let's take a look and see if we can get some other presentations and presenters if the fit is right. But here are the 3 things. 2 are questions, 1 is a quote. One was, I can't remember what the topic was, but the question was, what will be best for students? And what preceded that was, sometimes we need to, or all the time, I guess, we need to put aside what our own stuff, right? We have to be able to put aside our stuff and our preconceived notions and really take a look when we're making decision at what will be best for the students. The second one is one that I shared with the other board members, but what is one word that describes what students need most from us? And education comes to mind, but I don't think that's an adequate answer, so I'm still thinking about it. And then the last one is a quote by W. Edwards Deming, and I think we're getting really good at this, and I think we're trying to do this in our district very well. But the quote is, "Without data, you're just another person with an opinion." So I appreciate all the data that Wendy brought today and that Devin brings when she talks to us about everything. We really do need data, and I'm grateful that, and not just Wendy and Devin, they bring it to us, but it's our district staff often that compiles that information for us, and it's very necessary for us to make good decisions. So that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have something they want to share?
Should we go this way?
Okay, Terry.
And then Lisa. Just want to repeat that the foundation auction is Thursday, and there's some pretty awesome baskets, so everybody come and spend money. Spend money on things you don't need, but you really do need. Yeah. And I had the opportunity to meet outgoing Representative Tyler Clancy's replacement. His name is Grant Pace, if anybody knows him. And we'll need to, LegCom will need to send him an email, invite him to come look in our schools. And yeah, same as Gina, ditto Gina about NSBA. We're doing good stuff, and we should brag about it more.
Share what we've learned.
Share what we learned. We need to brag about it. We're awesome.
All right. Lisa, do you have anything you want to share?
No, I'm not done.
Oh, I'm sorry. The way your tone of voice, I'm sorry.
I only had one more
My
thing
bad.
I wanted to say. But keep the emails coming. You know, we love emails. Send them to Board of Education at provo.edu about your community meetings and the DLI and school closures and whatever you want. We have not had enough emails. Please send more.
Thanks, Terry. All right. Yeah, we do love emails. Okay, Lisa.
Yeah, a couple things. One, at NSBA, there were several times when I really was sitting listening to presenters and thinking, first of all, how well our district leadership team functions. People would be like, what? That's such a good idea. And I would think, oh, our district leadership team already does that and it's rolled out to our schools. I just, like, I did come away repeatedly so grateful for the work that's happening here. I went to a class on policy, and it was talking about policy and self-care in the same class, and I have to admit I didn't really want to go to the self-care part. I don't know, but it turned out to be so impactful for me to listen to how policy supports clear and clear frameworks and can help you with your decisions. And one of the things I wrote down from that I really liked was sometimes we'll say we're all in this together, or we're all in the same boat, and they said, no, you're not. And I thought this was interesting. I wrote this down. It's not true. We are in the same storm, but in different boats. Some people are in a battleship versus a yacht versus a rowboat. And we need to be aware within our communities that people's lived experiences create different reactions to the same things going on. And that was just a really lovely reminder to me. We are a crew, but we're not all manning the same boats. We don't all have the same responsibilities, but we also don't all have the same resources in that conversation. And so just coming back into a lot of critical and hard conversations that we're having right now, I thought that was a great takeaway for me, just to be able to listen to voices I'm hearing, listen for the voices I'm not hearing, and just remember, first of all, that when people are communicating, the biggest thing I just want to keep seeing is how much they care, and I really do believe that people have positive intent, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm really grateful, and I do think right now some of our challenges will best be solved because people are engaging in this process. They have been since January. And for me anyway, there's a lot of things that I don't think about from my boat to someone else's boat, and I need to hear from them. And so I'm just grateful, and I hope people who are following this meeting will show up at those listening opportunities, use their voices, and communicate their ideas and suggestions for us.
Thank you. Meg, do you have anything?
Actually, I was hesitant to talk some more, but I'm going to, so. I went to a session that was called Right Sizing Real Results, How Unified Leadership Builds Trust During Financial Challenges, which feels pertinent to kind of where we're at and some of the discussions we're having. Although I would say while we have financial challenges, I do appreciate, I think, we are in a position to make decisions because of good stewardship of our resources, and I know Devin does a great job with our budgets and our fund balance and navigating and managing all that. But I'm just going to list, this is a great little list to keep in mind that they recommended as you're making these decisions that in your districts, and maybe it'll be helpful for us. Protect students first, support staff with dignity, communicate with transparency, maintain community trust, no surprises, joint messaging, and focus on facts, not fear. So I think that those are things that we are doing and we can continue to think about as we move through these discussions.
Thank you. Emily?
I will pass in lieu of time. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. It is getting late, and after all those policies, I don't know that anyone's still watching. I will save some of my NSBA takeaways, but I will just say the foundation auction, it goes to support our students and our teachers, and what a worthy cause that is. So we encourage the community to come, and if you can't come, we have an app where you can bid on the silent auction items, and we'll be sending that out through the social media channels from the foundation for that. And then also I want to let everybody know that I talked to Wendy first just to make sure it was okay, but I reached out to the interim education committee chairs to invite them to come to our district and see the good things that we are doing. I have not yet heard back, but the invitation's out there, specifically for the good things we're doing at Franklin. I had a conversation with Representative Norm Thurston a week or two ago, and I told him that normally at Franklin in the past we've had a turnover of 7 to 8 teachers a year, and this year we will have one teacher leave between this year and next year, and we had, was it 60 applicants for that position?
Over that many.
Yeah. So it shows the good things think that we're doing, and then we can show them even more specifically. So whether they're able to come during the school year, during interim, or we go up there to present, I'm hopeful that we can show, again, the good things public education is doing and the innovation that we can do, but also the benefits of having some increased funding to be able to do those things. So, okay, we're going to turn it over to Wendy for the superintendent report.
I didn't even look to see if there was travel attached. There probably is. No. Okay, excellent. No. Okay. We didn't have any that had to be approved. It's all just like region travel and for athletics, and then we have some national qualifications for our CTSOs that will be happening over the summer. So I wanted to first of all thank my amazing team. So like I texted them and was like, I need some help in gathering all of this different information, and lo and behold, they do. And then they call me on the phone while I'm driving, and we get everything worked out. And just I had several people that were checking in with me via text messages and just saying, you know, like, what else do you need? What else do you need help with? How else? It's always feel like everybody's on board to try to help us do what we need to do. And so just grateful for all of the great people that I work with. I heard today at we were at a state superintendent's meeting, and the president of the Superintendent's Association said there's two emotions that everyone feels, and there's really, it can all be reduced to these two emotions, and they are love and fear. And that when I was thinking about all of the passion and things that our community has, it demonstrates for me both how much love they have for their community and how grateful I am that they're not just like, well, I don't care what happens. It just demonstrates how much they care about our schools and our communities, and a fear that something that is awesome might be gone. And that's a real powerful thing to think about, and means that we have created something really special here. And I just keep mulling that over in my mind. And then the last thing is that it was awesome to talk with the other superintendents about the new literacy legislation that's going into effect. And I know a lot of people are stressed out about it, but I was actually super excited about it. We're going to form a smaller superintendent work group to help problem solve different things so it doesn't become overwhelming for teachers, and just people already being out in front of it and realizing this is really doable. Like, we really can help. You know, we're not going to find excuses. We're going to take the lead on this because we are the education leaders in the state. And I was really excited to be part of that conversation. So excited to move forward as a district with that.
Love that. Exciting. Thank you, Wendy. All right, with that, we're at the end of our business meeting agenda. I do want to just share with the public, our next study session and business meeting will be on Tuesday, May 12th. And before that, we are recognizing our teachers and educators next Tuesday night. And we will have several public meetings regarding the discussions around enrollment and boundaries and such, and those have all been shared out there. Do we have a motion to adjourn our business meeting and enter a closed executive session for the purpose of discussing negotiations?
I move that we adjourn the business meeting and convene an executive session for the purposes of discussing negotiations.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Motion made by Vice President Hales. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Harrison. To convene an executive session, we do need to have a roll call vote, and let's start with Board Member Harrison.
Emily Harrison, aye. Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Aye.
Meg Van Wagenen, aye.
Jennifer Partridge, aye.
Gina Hales, aye.
Terry